45 knots on the anemometer. The S-92 on deck is tied down and going nowhere. 130 people are still on steel, 200 kilometers from Aberdeen, and the storm is still building. If escape is impossible, where does everyone go? Not the helideck, not the sea. The answer is inside the platform itself, behind walls you would not notice on a calm day. And you will not understand it until you have seen what those walls were built to survive. Picture Tuesday night in November. Wind at 60 knots. Waves 14 meters high, taller than a 3-story house. The platform is rated for it. The helicopter is not. That gap is the whole story. Take the northern North Sea in winter. Deep water, 300 meters down. Fetch for thousands of kilometers. A low-pressure system moves in from the Atlantic. Met Office gale warnings go out for 40s in Cromarty. On a fixed platform, the anemometer climbs past 35 knots. That number matters. The S-92 that does crew change in this basin is limited to 35 knots crosswind on a helideck. Above that, it stays on the ground. During Storm Eunice, 28 flights were delayed or canceled in a single day by 4 operators. CHC, Bristow, NHV and Offshore helicopter services all at once. Sea transfer is no safer. A crew boat needs under 2 meters significant wave height to land a gangway. Today significant height is 12 meters. Individual crests reach 18. Go back to that year. On December 30th, Storm Frank pushed waves to 14 meters in the Troll Field. Wind 45 to 67 miles per hour. The Coesel Innovator was hit so hard its living quarters were damaged. 1 man died. The rig had to leave the well and head for the Norwegian coast. That is the choice the weather makes for you. No flights today. No flights tomorrow. So the platform prepares to be an island. 3 days before the storm, the forecast says force 10. The offshore installation manager calls a planning meeting. Drilling stops. The drill string is tripped out and the well is secured. Valves are closed. Pressure bled off. Cranes are boomed down and lashed. Loose containers are sea-fastened. On deck, anything that can fly is tied or struck below. The helideck crew add extra lashings to any S-92 stuck on board. At 50 knots, it needs tie-downs even parked. At 55 knots, the rotor brake is not enough. Picture the deck at night. Green water comes over the lower braces. Spray reaches the cellar deck. Below that, the legs take the hit. A platform like this is designed for a 50-year wave of 13.5 meters. That is a wall of water 44 feet high. Add it up. The wave crest plus tide plus surge has to stay below the air gap. If it does not, steel takes the slap. The team knows the numbers. They also know the clock. Helicopter backup is gone. If something breaks now, no one is coming until the wind drops. That changes how you think about safety. You do not plan to leave. You plan to stay and ride it out, warm and counted. You are thinking the obvious answer. If you cannot fly, you float. Put everyone in lifeboats and get off the structure. That feels right. Steel versus sea. Sea wins, so get into the boats. On paper, the numbers support it. Every platform carries lifeboats for 200% of its people. If one side is on fire, the other side still has enough seats. Free-fall boats sit at the stern, enclosed, motorized, fire-protected. They can drop 30 meters and drive away. Twin-fall boats do the same on davits. Training drills teach you to be in a suit and at your boat station in under 6 minutes. It looks decisive. It looks brave. Add one more fact and the wrong answer locks in. In 1988, the popular story of Piper Alpha said men waited where they were told and died for it. 167 men were killed. 81 died in the accommodation module from smoke inhalation while waiting for instructions. If waiting killed them there, waiting must be wrong here. So the gut says go, get off. Do not wait behind a wall that failed before. If you are sitting at home thinking that, good. You are exactly where the industry was before it learned what actually failed that night. And that is why you need the next fact. Hold that thought. Look at what leaving in a storm really means. A totally enclosed motor-propelled survival craft, a temp sea, holds 50 to 80 people in a fiberglass shell the size of a bus. Twin-fall types carry 32 to 100. Single hook capsules carry 14 to 80. Free-fall boats carry 30 to 70. Inside, you are strapped shoulder to shoulder, knees to chest, in the dark. Outside, the sea is 12 meters significant. Individual waves are twice that. On January 1st, 1995, the Draupner platform measured a single crest at 18.5 meters above still water, with a total height of 25.6 meters. That is 84 feet, taller than a 7-story building. It hit a platform built for a 1 in 10,000 year wave of 20 meters. That was in moderate seas. Today the significant height is 12 meters again. Launching a lifeboat into that is not an evacuation. It is a roller coaster with no track, in -2-degree water, in the dark, with one engine and one chance to clear the structure. Capsize trials show self-righting fails above half a meter if buoyancy is wrong. Now add the second fact that breaks the wrong answer. The accommodation module on Piper Alpha was not a temporary refuge by modern rules. It was flattened because it had no blast walls, no gas-tight doors, no endurance. Today the rules are different. The mistake was not that they mustered, it was where they mustered. Now put the two side by side, then and now. The temporary refuge, the TR, is the real answer. On a modern North Sea platform, the living quarters boundary is the refuge. It is not a cabin. It is a fortress that has to keep you alive for an hour after a major fire or blast. That is the design rule. 1 hour endurance, blast rated on all faces, H60 and A60 fire rating. That means it holds back a hydrocarbon fire at 900 degrees for 60 minutes and a jet fire for longer. Gas-tight doors, fire dampers that slam shut and seal the ventilation. Airlocks so you do not bring smoke in with you. Positive pressure inside so smoke cannot leak through cracks. Independent power. Independent air. For 12 years after Piper Alpha, one of the men who studied that night most closely was the judge who led the public inquiry, Lord Cullen. His report became law. The Prevention of Fire and Explosion and Emergency Response Regulations, PFER, say every installation must have safe muster areas, safe egress, safe evacuation points. The TR is not a nice to have. It is a legal requirement. You do not run to the sea first. You run into the box that was built to not fail. Take this one case. You are aroused about on the drill floor at 2 a.m. Alarm sounds, not a fire alarm, a general alarm. Public address says this is a storm muster, not an evacuation. You stop work, make the site safe, close the valve you were bleeding, tool down, then you move. The control room is already manned. 2 people, sometimes 3, never leave. The offshore installation manager and the control room operator stay at the panels inside the TR, or in a separate central control room that is also protected and linked to the TR by a protected route. From there they run the emergency shutdown system, ESD. Hit the button and valves close across the plant. The process depressurizes. Production stops flowing. Flare burns off what is left. Emergency power takes over, not main power. Emergency diesels that sit high and dry inside the TR. They are tested weekly. If main power trips in a storm, lights stay on. Radios stay on. The standby vessel, 500 meters off, is still there if sea state allows. But the rule is it must be able to re-enter the zone and land a gangway in less than the TR survival time. If it cannot, the platform counts as on its own. And that is the point. The systems that matter do not need the outside to work. They are inside the walls with you, behind the same doors. Everyone else moves to muster. 2 stations, primary and secondary, both inside the TR or directly connected to it. Your life jacket is there. Your survival suit is there. On the bulkhead is a board with plastic tags. T-cards. 1 for every person on board. POB. Persons on board. 130 names. When you arrive at the muster station, you move your card to present, or you swipe your electronic badge. The muster checker counts. Radio to control room every minute. Rolling count. Expected versus accounted. The guidance the Health and Safety Executive publishes is blunt. Ensure T-card or similar personnel monitoring systems do not restrict movements and that muster arrangements can accurately account for evacuated POB. If someone is missing after 5 to 7 minutes, a search team goes. Only the search team. No one else moves. No one goes to a lifeboat until the OIM says so. The lifeboats are 10 meters away through a fire door, not across open deck. That distance matters. In a storm-exposed deck is where you get hurt. Inside you are in socks on a carpeted corridor, drinking tea, waiting for a count that proves everyone is breathing. That is not panic. That is procedure that has been drilled every week for years. General alarm and muster. GAM. You have done it 20 times before the storm ever comes. Look at the walls around that T. The accommodation module for a North Sea storm platform is designed as a ship turned on its head. Steel skin, then passive fire protection, then insulation. Windows are tiny and toughened. Doors are steel and dogged shut with 4 handles. You need 2 hands to open them. That is on purpose. The boundary has to hold a blast overpressure on all faces, then a fire, then smoke, for that hour. Combination H60 and A60 external, with internal fire rating to SOLAS. Inside you have bunk rooms, canteen, sickbay, toilets. You have food and water for days, not hours. You have emergency lighting that runs on batteries even if diesels fail. You have enclosed lifeboats directly outside that wall. Single-fall davit launched boats for 36 to 70 people, or free-fall boats that slide off a ramp. You have them on both sides, so one side is always out of the lee. And here's the counterintuitive fact that takes a second to sit with. You think hiding in a metal box on top of a gas plant in a hurricane is cowardice or bureaucracy. It is not. It is maths. The box was designed for this exact load case. The lifeboat was not. Staying gives you a 1-hour, airtight, warm, lit, counted, controlled place to wait for the wind to drop by 5 knots so a helicopter can actually land without killing everyone on approach. Leaving gives you a cold, dark, vomit-filled fiberglass box in 20-meter seas, with no rescue inbound. The safest evacuation is sometimes no evacuation at all. It is 3 a.m. now. Listen, the wind is a constant roar outside the accommodation wall. You feel it more than you hear it. The whole block hums. A coffee cup shivers on a table in the galley, and the tea inside ripples. 10 men sit along the corridor in survival suits, half-zipped, hoods back, talking low. One checks his phone. No signal, but the Wi-Fi inside the TR still works. Another opens a small book. Another just stares at the T-card board where every slot is filled. Present, present, present. The OAM's voice comes on the public address. Calm, Scottish accent. He says anemometer still 52 knots, gusting 60. Significant wave height 11 meters. Standby vessel is pulled back to 1 mile because it cannot hold station inside 500 meters. Helicopter grounded at Stavanger, all 32 flights on hold. We remain at storm muster. No muster change. Take water. Rest. Next update in 30 minutes. Outside, a wave hits a leg with a deep boom you feel in your chest. Inside, the lights do not flicker. Someone laughs, nervous. The T ripples again. This is what hiding looks like when it works. If the OIM does call abandon, the path is short and covered. You already have your suit. The immersion suit that North Sea crews wear is not a life jacket. It is a full dry suit in 5mm neoprene, with a lifting loop and a buddy line. You can put it on in under a minute if you drilled it. It has built-in buoyancy, about 260 newtons on a large man, roughly 26 kilograms of lift, enough to keep your head above water without a separate jacket. Tests on 588 offshore workers showed the same range, 230 to 260 newtons after immersion. It keeps you warm for 6 hours in 0-degree water so your body temperature does not fall more than 2 degrees. Without it, you have 30 minutes. With it, you have hours. You zip, you hood up, you gloves on. You move through the airlock to the embarkation deck. The boat is enclosed, fire protected, total enclosed motor-propelled survival craft, Tempsea, twin fall davit or free fall. Capacity 32 to 100 depending on type, and the platform must carry 150% of POB, so loss of one side still leaves you seats. You strap in, 5-point harness, head back. The coxswain who trained that launch sequence every year for a decade in the Northern Basin, Coxswain Petit, who advised a lifeboat not to attempt more evacuation by sea on a night when a Sea King was inbound at 2340, taught that the worst night is not the night you need the boat. It is the night you launch it when you did not need to. That lesson is bolted to this deck. And the skeptic is right about one thing. Do not let the film hide it. Around now, say it plain. The TR is not invincible. It buys an hour, not a day. If a high-pressure gas release finds ignition and burns at jet fire temperatures against that wall for longer, steel will soften, seals will fail, smoke will find a path. The inquiry that followed Piper Alpha, documented in the papers that the historian of preventable disasters, Carson, collected, showed temporary accommodation with blast protection only added long after construction had finished. Over-inspectors' concerns, and even advanced coatings like intumescent paint, only swell to insulate steel for a limited time. So the procedure has a clock. The hour is for assessment, for muster, for controlled evacuation if the threat grows. It is not for hiding and hoping. That is why the OIM keeps talking to shore by satellite and to the standby vessel by radio, why the emergency shutdown stays armed, why the lifeboats stay ready with engines hot. Staying is safer only while the TR remains the safest place. The moment it is not, you go. And going in a storm is still better than burning. The choice is not stay versus go. It is stay as long as staying is less dangerous than the sea. For most North Sea storms, that is the whole storm, and that is why crews stay. So where does everyone hide when helicopters are grounded and sea transfer would break your legs? They do not hide, they muster. They go to the temporary refuge inside the living quarters, move their T-card to present, zip halfway into their immersion suits, and wait behind H60 walls on emergency power while the control room shuts the plant down around them. That is the protected area. That is the accounting system. That is the storm drill you thought was paperwork. And if the refuge clock runs out, then the enclosed lifeboats 10 meters away, 200% capacity, carry you off in suits that give you hours in freezing water. That is why remaining on board, counted and warm, often beats a blind launch into waves 14 meters high. Now new material before we leave. After Storm Britta in 2006, damage surveys found metal on the FIN-01 research platform, 18 meters above mean sea level, destroyed by waves. 3 rogue waves over 15 meters, longer than 350 meters, in water where design had assumed less. Platforms have since recertified for 11 to 13 meter survival waves, with air gaps recalculated. But the sea keeps writing bigger numbers. If a 25.6 meter Dropner wave can appear under a 12 meter significant sea on a night when 32 helicopters are already grounded, how high will the next one be that finds a platform waiting out the storm? If you want more on how steel survives the North Sea, subscribe to Ocean Shift.